Today on Investigate TV Plus, finding peace and planning your final farewell.
We spend more time planning our annual vacation than we spend thinking about the last phase of our life.
How looking ahead towards life's end helps some families heal, and the simple ways you can guide your loved ones after you move on.
And I do some bed rolls.
Yeah. Plus, how one man's death inspired a movement to ensure no one dies alone.
I imagine it's very difficult to be there when someone takes their final breath.
It's easier than what you think.
Then, a diagnosis typically found in adults can put children through intense pain.
Once you got the diagnosis, is that a relief? Is that scary? What is that at that point?
Both. Definitely an aha moment. So many things started to make sense.
We take an in-depth look at the autoimmune disease that affects thousands of children per year.
And custom comic books.
Every kid out there should be able to see themselves as a hero.
The graphic novels helping readers see the best versions of themselves come alive on the page.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
Among the many unpredictable pieces of our lives is death, that of our loved ones and our own. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich, but who is by our side and what we want to happen after we die are two pieces of this sometimes uncomfortable yet inevitable puzzle we want to explore today.
We begin with volunteers who make the selfless choice to ensure fewer people are alone when they take their final breath.
Reporter Kristen Crowley explains the meaning behind the movement called No One Dies Alone.
When you work in a hospital, patient care is at the center of everything.
And I do some bed rolls.
Yeah.
Tammy Skubal spends her days on a cardiac unit, organizing equipment, prepping rooms, hoping the next person who lies in this bed eventually gets better and goes home. But some patients will never leave the hospital. And that's when Tammy's promise for patient care goes beyond the expected.
I think in my own world, I can't picture somebody going through that by themselves. I just can't.
A promise to be with them as they die.
How many people have you been in the room with when they died?
3.
She is a NODA volunteer. It stands for No One Dies Alone.
We connect through stories.
Chaplain Becky Johnson runs the program at the University of Kansas Health System.
We train employees to become volunteers to sit with patients that have no family or friends when they're nearing the end of their life. This is really hard work.
The training covers protocol and how to sit vigil with the dying.
We could actually hold vigil from 2 hours to 3 days.
But talking about it is one thing.
I imagine it's very difficult to be there when someone takes their final breath.
It's easier than what you think. To know that you can bring someone that much comfort. People are more caring than what they give themselves credit for, but knowing that you can give someone that comfort.
NODA volunteers ensure no one dies alone, but they wouldn't exist today if it weren't for one man who did.
The man asked if I would sit with him, and he could barely speak. So what I said to him was, I'll come back as soon as I've checked on my other patients. And by the time I got back to his room, I walked in there and his arm was outstretched from the bed. And he had already died. And I get choked up every time I think about it.
Sandra Clark was a nurse at the time in Eugene, Oregon. She couldn't stay with him because of rounds. After he died, she came up with an idea to fill the gaps for hospital staff with volunteers, and No One Dies Alone was born.
Gosh, we had vigils going, Sandra, every other week, every third week?
Her colleagues Marty Blodgett and Ann Orden were there from the start in 2001, not just sitting vigil with the dying, but spreading word of the program. Ann says by the time she left as program coordinator,
the number was above 500 programs in the United States that were either No One Dies Alone or based on No One Dies Alone.
Today, it is still growing, reaching hospitals outside the U.S. in Singapore, the UK, New Zealand, and beyond.
Now, more than 20 years later, what do you think of what this has become?
I hope that it has made a difference, and I think it has.
I believe he has cancer, and I hope he is resting comfortably and will slip away peacefully and without pain.
A difference you can see on paper. Some NOTA volunteers journal about their experience, keeping the names of patients confidential.
Mr. P passed away about 20 minutes ago.
But making sure they'll always be remembered.
Do you know their backstory in sense of why they're alone?
I don't.
Usually our volunteers don't. I do sometimes. We teach that that's not important for them to care for a patient at this time.
It doesn't matter why they're alone.
No, so often teach, let's not judge why someone is by themselves.
A life lesson in humanity, even in death.
Becky added, people end up alone for a variety of reasons. Sometimes they alienate their family, other times they're the last surviving member. But she says volunteers don't typically know the reason because it's not important. If you're interested in becoming a NOTA volunteer, contact your local hospital and ask if they have the program in place. The University of Kansas Health System says right now its volunteers are all hospital employees, but it hopes to eventually involve community members.
As we mentioned, conversations about death can be uncomfortable, but there is a profession working to make them a bit easier.
You've probably heard of birth doulas who help families bring a baby into the world. There's an emerging industry of people who help with a similar plan, but for death.
They're called death doulas or end-of-life doulas, and it's someone Kelly Hurtado sought out as an active and healthy grandmother of 4 in Louisiana.
I've had some friends that I've mentioned this to that have said, why are you doing that now? You're like, you're so young, you're so healthy. Why do you need to do that now? I'm like, it's exactly why I need to do it now. While I'm healthy and young, so I can write down everything all my wishes, so there is no question.
Hundreds of miles away in Cleveland, Ohio, we sat down with a death doula who says she has more than 35 years of experience in the aging services industry.
Reporter Jen Pachano speaks with her about helping clients plan the end of their lives.
We spend more time planning our annual vacation than we spend thinking about the last phase of our life, and we need to do that. We need to be prepared.
Annie O'Neill has a background and a business in geriatric care management. As part of that, she offers her services as a death doula.
What we try to strive for is as few regrets as possible at a very challenging time.
Death doulas have been around for 15 years, originally working with hospice care, going to a hospital to be the first one in once a patient was given a terminal diagnosis. Rather than focusing on the people around the patient and their anticipatory grief, she says an end-of-life doula focuses on the patient.
I believe that no good decision is ever made in a crisis. I always try to help people stay ahead of the curve.
She helps patients talk about their pain management options, navigate decisions about care, and where and how they want to live out their last days.
And when I begin to notice signs of decline, even subtle signs of decline, I'm able to say to them, let's talk about some additional support.
Dr. Laura Hoeksema is the medical director for Cleveland Clinic Hospice. She's seeing a shift in more people thinking about the dying process and things like if they would prefer to die at home or anywhere but home.
You think of when we come into this world, there are birth plans, there are birth doulas. There's a lot of education and reaching out to neighbors who've had children before and asking them what the experience has been like. And we haven't exactly done that same thing when it comes to death.
Dr. Hoeksema says death has become less medicalized in this country and more personal. Both she and O'Neill say they'd like to see more people taking advantage of this kind of service.
We found the cost to hire a death doula varies depending on the doula's years of experience and the services they offer.
According to GoodRx, they can range from $25 to $100 per hour, and they're typically not covered by insurance. The International End-of-Life Doula Association acknowledges, as of March 2025, there's no government or industry oversight of end-of-life doulas, but it does offer its own training program for about $600. The nonprofit says it's trained more than 7,000 doulas worldwide.
Still ahead, as the cost of medical care climbs, Americans' view of its quality falls. We show you how to navigate what can be a complicated and confusing system.
Plus, a 9-year-old girl deals with a painful disease typically found in older adults.
What do you want people to know about arthritis?
It's horrible.
We examine juvenile arthritis and explain why it took years for this family to find a diagnosis. Arthritis is a diagnosis commonly associated with older adults.
Yeah, but it's also sometimes found in children, according to the Cleveland Clinic. Just like adults, juvenile arthritis is an autoimmune disease that can cause swelling, pain, and joint stiffness. It affects about 1 in 1,000 children in the U.S.
One of those children is a 9-year-old girl who doesn't let pain get in the way of her positivity.
Reporter Jamie Bull explains why it took her 2 years to get a diagnosis and how she deals with it today.
Miss Garrison, when I say arthritis, what do you think about?
Pain, screaming, shots.
Garrison Seeloff can put a silly 9-year-old face on it, but there's nothing fun about what she's been going through. What do you want people to know about arthritis?
It's horrible.
Her big brother, Jude, has been there to see it all.
I just remember her walking around saying, my ankle hurts, my ankle hurts, my ankle hurts.
I did not walk. I limped and I could not even put any amount of weight on that leg. Thank you very much.
Why is it so important for you to kind of help her through all of this?
Because she's my sister.
Natalie Seeloff is their mom. When was the first time you noticed something wasn't right?
She would have been 3 or 4, but it took a long time to get her diagnosed.
In fact, it took about 2 years to figure out that pain that started in her ankles was something serious. Once you got the diagnosis, is that a relief? Is that scary? What is that at that point?
Both. Definitely an aha moment. So many things started to make sense. A lot of the behavior stuff started to make sense too, just because, oh, she's hurting all the time. She physically can't do that. She's not just pushing back for no reason. I will never forget the first time she went out in the yard and was so excited because she climbed a tree for the first time.
She went into medication remission.
So no active arthritis, but injection anxiety.
The treatment required shots, those injections, and they were just too much for Garrison and even her brother.
It's been hard because whenever she has shots, there's a lot of screaming.
And it just got really bad, and we again had to weigh, pros and cons, quality of life, and we took her off of Humira after several years this past summer, and within a month she was flaring bad.
Which has them back near the beginning of all of this, trying to figure out what to do next. When you're in those doctor visits and you're watching this happening, I mean, just how hard is that for you?
It's not pleasant. You kind of always go in just almost expecting the worst, which isn't a good place to be in necessarily.
What would a cure mean to you and your family?
I mean, it'd be life-changing. That would be amazing to be able to tell her that, that there could be an end in sight to doctor's appointments and blood draws and all the things. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
What would a cure mean to you?
Never feel pain again.
According to the Arthritis Foundation, the cause of juvenile arthritis is unknown, though researchers believe children with the condition have certain genes that are activated by a virus, bacteria, or other toxins. There's no evidence that foods, allergies, or lack of vitamins can cause the disease.
Still ahead, meet the artist turning special kids into superheroes.
You can make the world a better place just by being friendly to people.
His mission, making students feel out of this world.
But first, if you've received an unexpected medical bill in the mail, you're not alone. We reveal some easy ways you can be your own investigator to avoid surprise charges.
It's an emergency room visit that stuck with Lee Fava.
It was just outrageous. $700 for a shot?
In November 2021, she went to the ER for a thumb injury and left with unanswered questions.
Well, obviously, when you have an injury like that, the first thing you need is a tetanus shot. And so, among other things that were done as far as ointments and things like that, they did give me a tetanus shot, but they ultimately charged me almost $700 for it.
According to a December 2024 survey, Americans' view of healthcare is at its lowest point in 24 years.
There were all sorts of things on that bill I wanted to dispute, but I couldn't even get a person to respond to me.
We reached out to the hospital ourselves to see if they could address Fava's situation. In a statement, the hospital said a thorough investigation of the billing charges has been reviewed and found all identified charges are appropriate.
I think we need some sort of reform where things are charged as what their actual cost is, or at least somewhere near what their cost is.
In the event your procedure or prescription is not an emergency, a little bit of research could save you a lot of money in the long run.
Reporter Josie Sturman shows us how you can be your own investigator to find the true cost of your health care.
When you or a loved one need medical care, there's usually enough to worry about without wondering just how much that test or treatment is going to cost you. And despite the federal government requiring that hospitals be upfront about what they charge, our national investigative team has found those price tags can still be hard to find. In this Be Your Own Investigator, we'll help you locate tools that might give you a better idea of what to expect before those medical bills show up in the mail. Hospitals are supposed to publish their prices online. Some have price calculators on their websites that are actually pretty easy to find. If you don't see one right away, try looking under billing or insurance, or on the pages designed for new patients. These tools might also appear under patient resources or financial assistance. No luck though? Try typing hospital price transparency or cost estimator into the website's search bar. If the hospital is using an online tool, you can start looking for the test or procedure you want to price out. You may be asked for your insurance information, and it can be helpful to ask your doctor for the specific billing code, as you could be met with complicated medical terms. Knowing that code ensures you're looking at the right thing. Some hospitals only offer lists or spreadsheets that you have to download to see. If you're comfortable enough with computers to open and read through those billing codes, again, they're going to come in handy to quickly find what you're looking for. After all that searching, if you still can't find the price, you still have some other options. If you have health insurance, try calling your plan and asking for an estimated price. They'll also likely need that code and some information about which hospital you'll be visiting. You can also call the hospital's finance office and ask about pricing or speak with a patient advocate. With this Be Your Own Investigator, I'm Josie Sturman.
Still ahead. Main character energy.
When Jack walks into a room, he lights up the whole room.
I don't think he quite understands the impact that he has.
Meet the teacher using comic books to empower students to be superheroes.
Comic book legend Stan Lee once said, quote, "The person who helps others simply because it should or must be done and because it is the right thing to do is indeed, without a doubt, a real superhero."
In that spirit, a social studies teacher uses his talent as an artist to inspire students to be the heroes of their own stories.
Reporter Amanda Hara shows us how.
The way that we see ourselves and the way that others see us.
When Jack walks into a room, he lights up the whole room.
They see him as kind of a rock star.
Isn't always the same.
I don't think he quite understands the impact that he has had and can have on people.
Like most of us, Jack Bazeko underestimates the power that he holds. But just down the hall at Station Camp High School,
My name is Drew Van Huss.
a teacher sees Jack's strengths as superhuman.
You can make the world a better place just by being friendly to people.
It's not that unattainable to be a hero.
Absolutely.
Drew Van Huss is a social studies teacher.
And that's what's going to send us into the Great Depression.
But his real expertise is in good versus evil.
I'm looking around your classroom here. It's covered in comic book stuff.
Yes, there are a few maps here and there, but
why?
Every kid out there should be able to see themselves as a hero. Every kid should be able to see themselves as somebody who can make a positive difference in the world.
Let's start the parade!
Today,
every kid's a hero days here.
They do.
What did you get? Oh, a mask.
Jack Bazeko and special education students from across Sumner County
I'm here to save the day.
are in character.
Jack Bazeko. Jack, if you could come down.
But they're not just dressed for the part.
Come here, Jack. I got something special for you.
They're realizing the role they already play
Look at that.
for the people around them.
Super Jack. That's you.
No way.
That's you.
Every student
This comic is about you as a superhero.
is now the star
Don't worry, kids. I will save you.
of their own tailor-made comic.
We make the special education students the main hero of the comic book so that they're able to see themselves as a hero. This is my favorite moment of this day, is hearing you read this comic book.
Super Jack. That is so awesome. I love it.
Jack is beginning to see himself the way others do.
I'm strong like one.
Do you think that making other people happy is your superpower?
I think it is.
Are you ready to draw something for us?
I think I'm ready, Amanda.
This time around, Jack's self-portrait is a little more accurate.
I'm going to draw myself as a superhero.
He understands his power and how to use it.
The world's a dark and scary place, and we all want to go out there and make a change. You don't have to change the whole world to do that. You just have to go out and you have to change the world around you.
You know, I love how he said, you don't have to change the whole world, just the world around you. And he is definitely doing that. Those kids, the smiles on their faces was amazing.
Oh, great. It's a true, everyone can be a superhero in their own way. Yeah, very nice. All right, that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Dee Chappelle. Thanks for watching.
On the next Investigate TV Plus, construction workers are in short supply, and experts say new talent is hard to find.
We need the people to work because we need to not only build America's infrastructure, but we have to rebuild it.
We take a look at the efforts to replenish the field and how this labor shortage could affect your community.